Welcome to another edition of Courtside with Rob and Washut. But before we head over to the arena, I want to give a big thank you to our sponsors of the show, Group Therapy Bike Tours and Slim Chickens. We'll start with Group Therapy. They are all in on the Nebraska basketball wave. Head over to grouptherapybiketours.com and book your ride today for all of your pregame, post-game, whenever game, birthday party, wedding, family reunion, corporate event. They have a 15-person trolley ride, a 6-person mini bike for whatever event you want to celebrate. And like I said, it is full force in Nebraska. If you've gone to a Nebraska game, I'm sure you've seen the trolleys riding around the Haymarket and downtown Lincoln. If you go over to grouptherapybiketours.com and use the promo code NebraskaBall, you will save 15% on your first ride. So make sure you head on over there and support our great sponsor. It's a ton of fun. I've been on it several times. Could not recommend it enough. Now over to our other sponsors, Slim Chickens. Bill Hooks and his wife Stacy are diehard Nebraska fans, and they couldn't wait to jump on the Nebraska basketball train. Locally owned Slim Chickens has 2 locations, 84th and Old Cheney and 16th and Pine Lake. Slim Chickens features a variety of options with fried and grilled chicken tenders, wings, salads, wraps, sandwiches, chicken and waffles, and southern sides. What makes Slim's different? Well, they have over 17 different dipping sauces for guests to choose their favorite. Slim Chickens is available for dine-in, drive-thru, or delivery via their online ordering. Check out Slim Chickens app and start earning rewards today. Slim Chickens is always a favorite for large gatherings and tailgate parties, especially Nebraska basketball tailgate parties, and let them do the cooking for you. Slim Chickens is moving forward, and they are expanding to the north side of Lincoln soon, so keep an eye out for that. Stop into your local Slim Chickens restaurant today for some southern hospitality and see their newly remodeled locations. Again, thanks to all our sponsors. Now let's head over to the arena and take you courtside with me, Rob and Washut. Welcome back to another edition of Courtside with Rob and Washut here once again at Pinnacle Bank Arena, leading up to Nebraska's home showdown, home rematch with Northwestern. Tip-off at noon. Earlier tip, but the crowd is going to be, full house once again. Drove up. The line was already backed up past the post office, so student section's ready. I think the Huskers should be ready. This is a big one for them, and they know it. Coming off losing 3 of their last 4, albeit to 3 top 15 teams. Just like Rutgers, this is a get-right opportunity that they can't afford to screw up. Northwestern's reeling. They have been playing competitive basketball. They gave Iowa all they could handle out in Iowa City. They gave Michigan all they could handle in Evanston. Kind of wore down at the end, but they're a team that's always been like this. They're just pesky enough to make it difficult on you, and they just don't have the depth and firepower really to kind of keep up down the stretch, which is why their record is what it is. But Nick Martinelli is the best scorer in the Big Ten. He literally leads the conference in scoring at about 22 a game, shooting 51% from the field. And again, just like the first time, he's number 1, 2, 3 on Nebraska scouting report just because he does everything for this Wildcat squad. He's their number 1 scorer. He's their best rebounder. The offense just runs through him. And so he's the guy that Nebraska has to take care of first and foremost. But then, with that, they can't let their commitment to stopping Martinelli open things up and make life easy for some of these other role players around him. I go back to the formula that Nebraska had in Evanston, which ended up working out pretty well. They almost won by 20. But the good news was they facing a Wildcat team that, if you look at the analytics right now, they're one of the best in all of college basketball at ball security. I think they're in the top 10 nationally in offensive turnover percentage, offensive steal percentage, and one other ball security one. But either way, they don't give the ball away. They average 8 turnovers per game. And one of the big reasons Nebraska had the success it did in that first meeting was because they forced 11 turnovers. And a lot of them, they kind of baited Northwestern into just uncharacteristic just miscues, where they were throwing the ball away or stepping out of bounds or things that a very disciplined Wildcat team doesn't normally do. And I credit that to Nebraska's defense for kind of dialing up, making things extremely difficult for them, especially in the half court, and, creating mistakes on Northwestern's end. So that's got to be the formula once again. It's hard to do, if you can get anywhere close to 10 forced turnovers against this team, that's pretty good. So I think that's kind of the benchmark. If they can get into the double-digit turnover category, Nebraska's defense is accomplishing a lot. And then you look at the last 3 losses, what has the common theme been? Giving up offensive rebounds. The 21 against Purdue was just, you knew this was going to be weakness for Nebraska all year, but 21 offensive rebounds, that's unheard of, or at least unacceptable, regardless of the size, physicality, athleticism that Nebraska might be giving up to teams that have a big front court like Purdue or Illinois or whatever it may be. What? Yeah, he's good. Yeah, we had a little bit of a scare here. Rink dinged up his thumb. Rink Mass dinged up his thumb and shoot around. Ended up going to the locker room. But he's back out here shooting. Video evidence. There he is. All clear on that front. Fine line all the time. But yeah, I'd Kent Velka run back and give me some reconnaissance and give me an update. Says he should be good. He just drilled a couple threes in a row, so we're good. Anyway, the rebounding. Yes. So because Nebraska is not the biggest, most physical, attacking athletic team, they have to make up for it with effort. And the biggest problem for me in that Purdue game, you knew they were going to be at a disadvantage in the paint, but the lack of fight that they showed on the boards was really kind of concerning to me, where not only was Purdue just, out muscling for rebounds, but they were hitting first. And that's what Fred Hoiberg always says. The only way Nebraska could combat all the deficiencies it might have when it comes to rebounding in the Big Ten is by being the team that wants it more. By every time the shot goes up, you're the one slamming your hip into your opponent, establishing position. And then the big thing for Nebraska, it's not just like Rink going up and getting a rebound because he's a center, or Berke or whoever it is. It's about those guys hitting first, clearing out the paint, and letting Sam, who leads you in defensive rebounds, come crashing, or Kale or Jamarcus, whoever it may be, clearing space so that those long rebounds, the guards can come in there and handle them with ease. That was not happening at Purdue. It didn't happen nearly enough against Illinois. And obviously with the lineup deficiencies they had against Michigan, that was a problem as well. So you go back to that first game in Evanston. Nick Martinelli himself had 5 offensive rebounds in the first half alone. Northwestern had 7 offensive rebounds in the first half. A big reason why that game flipped on its head in the second half was not only Nebraska dialing things up defensively, but the way that they started taking over the glass. And it goes back to that hitting first, bring the fight mentality, where Nick Martinelli did not get a single offensive rebound in the second half. And I think Northwestern only had 2 offensive rebounds over the final 20 minutes. So that's got to be the formula once again. Northwestern's pesky enough that if you give them multiple opportunities, they will beat you. And you saw what happened against Purdue, which is one of the most efficient offenses in all of college basketball. When you give them 17 more possessions, or 18 more possessions and 17 more shots, that's an extremely steep hill to try to have to overcome. So finishing possessions with defensive rebounds, absolutely critical in this one, because this is one of those you don't want to let Northwestern hang around. They're a team that's kind of reeling right now. And I guess the good news is they just kind of played out of their minds against Michigan and still lost in kind of a disheartening fashion. So you don't want to give them any more motivation or any more confidence. And the way that you can do that is by letting them get one possession after another off offensive boards. So I want to see Nebraska bring the fight defensively, bring the fight on the glass, and be the aggressor for a full 40 minutes. And if they can do that, this one shouldn't be a problem for them. They're opened as a 12.5-point favorite. They're at home in a game they have to have. I expect the Huskers to show up and be ready to play. This is where you lean on that senior, veteran leadership to go and do what you're supposed to do. You let a couple opportunities slip through your fingers over these last 4 games. You cannot afford to have a bad loss on your record right now. And a loss at home to a 2-win Big Ten team against Northwestern, that would be a bad loss as far as I'm concerned. So this is a mentality game for Nebraska in a lot of ways. And I trust that those veterans, that Rink and Sam and Price and Berke and all those guys, they're going to come with the right mentality today and get the job done. So, looking around the rest of the lineup here, Berke had an interesting line last time out. His stats were fine, but over his 24 minutes that he played, he was minus 22. And it just looked to me that he just kind of was struggling to find the flow of the offense. And we know how good he can be defensively. He's their best post defender. There's no question about it. He's one of their best defensive rebounders. There's no question about it. We need to see him be a little bit more, I don't want to say engaged is the right word, but part of the the flow offensively to where, like, it's not like he's an outlier and you're going 4-on-5 on offense. So I kind of challenged Berke in this one, where I want to see more offensive, not just production, but kind of offensive cohesiveness from him. You know, he's got to be critical defending Martinelli in the paint and finishing those defensive rebounds like we talked about. But if you can get more positive production out of him and just more positive contributions from him on the offensive end, that could be another X factor that could work heavily in Nebraska's favor. So the students are about to roll in now. Like I said, it's the line was wrapped around all the way back past the post office leading up to this one, so it should be a great crowd. Saturday afternoon home tip. I didn't know that was a thing that you could still do. Apparently the Big Ten is now allowing Nebraska to play Saturday afternoon home games. So I expect Husker fans to take full advantage of it. We got another one coming up next week against Penn State. And, this is where we're at this part of the schedule now where when you looked at the beginning of the year, this was opportunity time for Nebraska. Like the whole talk was just keep your head above water, keep yourself in position going into about mid-February, and then all of a sudden you have a home-heavy, relatively favorable stretch to close the regular season to position yourself for postseason play. Well, Nebraska already is well above water with their start, even with losing 3 of the last 4. They are in prime position to maintain themselves not only as a potential 3 seed, which I think is kind of the consensus for them right now, but potentially play their way back up to the 2 line. And again, these are the games you have to win to get there. So as long as Nebraska brings the right mentality, I expect them to get the job done and get win number 22 on the season. Signing off for right now. Thanks again to our sponsors, Group Therapy Bike Tours, Slim Chickens Restaurant, and I'll tune in after the game, and we'll have full post-game analysis of what is hopefully a Nebraska victory. Talk to you then.